Okay guys, let's get started. So open this up. Of course you'll have seen this and scan that. So what we're going to start off by doing is taking all the parts out of the packaging. Once you have all the parts out of your packaging, take your screwdriver and disassemble. Take your screwdriver and unscrew these, remembering lefty-loosey, righty-tighty, so go left or anti-clockwise. You can use two hands to make it a little bit easier. You won't be able to see this, but that's what I'm doing. Okay, so that's unscrewed. Just one more. There you go. And so what you're going to do is take this out of here. Front's on there, and just take that place down. So be careful with these screws, they're really tiny. So just place it down like that. Put these screws to the side. Okay, so now we're going to start off. Make sure that you have something that's not going to scratch the scales themselves. So maybe a bit of tissue. I've got this mat here because you just want to protect these surfaces here. The brass is quite soft. Okay, so take 3 screws and you're going to put them top right, bottom right, and bottom left. Okay, now this is the tricky bit. You're going to flip this around so this surface is face flat, but in order to keep the screws in place, what I do is use my fingers and just push against them slightly. So as I flip it, keep the pressure there, and there you have it. So you have these screws now facing upright in the correct orientation. So next you get your tool set, open it up, and you're going to start off by taking these 2 tools. So first of all, you're going to take your pry tool, this tool here, and you're going to place it on the top right, over that top right here. Then you're going to take your knife and be careful with it, it's sharp, and you're going to put that with this facing upwards. So there's a little notch here, that's going to be facing upwards, facing towards you. So that's going to lie there like that. Next, take 2 of these out of your packaging and we're going to put the first one in this orientation. So that hole goes to the top left, and there's a curvature like this, and that matches the knife. This is the spring which adds the spring force to the inside of the Swiss Army knife. So this base here sits on the base there. Okay, and then you're going to repeat the exact same thing with the second one. Okay, there you go. Next, you're going to take these 2 remaining ones. You see this one's got a slightly longer top to it. You're going to start with the smaller one, and this time it's facing the opposite direction. So the curve faces this way, and we're going to put it on the bottom right, like that. And then you take the longer one, and again you put it on the bottom right. And that's all the tools laid out, apart from the scissors. Next, you're going to take your top piece. So these have threads here, and what we're going to do is line it up with the cross on the right hand side or at the top. And what we're going to try and do is line up these screws with these holes here, and you can wiggle it slightly to make it feel like, so that you can tell that they're engaging there. Once you think that you've got that engaged, we're going to pick it up, applying pressure up and down to keep the screws in place, and we're going to flip it upside down. Okay, so now I'm keeping this squeezed like this, and I take my screwdriver, I'm just going to very lightly do these up. So that's the third one, very, very light. Okay, don't over tighten them. You'll have a chance later on to tighten this up. So you can see here the tools are in position, but there's no spring force, and that is because we haven't added the final piece, which is the scissors. So to do the scissors, you hold your pocket knife with this piece facing down, and you get your scissors out. Okay, so you can put that down now whilst you get the scissors in the correct orientation. So you hold your scissors like this, and this is the tricky bit. This is where you're going to be using this jig here, final screw, and the aim is we're going to line up that into that hole and screw all the way through. So the way that the jig works is that we add a bit of sideways force and squeeze it together to give you enough time to put that screw in. Okay, so we pick up the pocket knife and you place the handle facing inwards in that gap like this. You give it a bit of a squeeze, and you get to a point where you can hold it with one hand like this, and that hole there is upwards on this hand side, this side upwards of the hole in the scales. You take your jig, you can see this, there's a little section there. We want to face that and line up that small right angle with that gap on the scissors. And so we're going to slide this into place. You can see how it's connecting there, just like this. We're going to squeeze it together, and as you push forwards you can see that hole will line up there nicely. Once it's all lined up, you can actually let go, take your screw, and then you can place through the hole, which is a little bit fiddly. So that's in like that. You can push through, adding a bit of twisting. Might need to apply a bit of downwards pressure there, and that. Just keep lightly screwing it, and it should bite into the base there, and that's all done up. And you can take away the jig, and that is the hardest part done. So now we have spring force, and all the parts have gone together nicely. Okay, so the next part is to add your ring pull, and that's just like any other key ring. You can add that to here like that,